All right, I'm Lucas Guilfoyle here with former KU geography student Walter Summers of Olathe, Kansas, and we're here to discuss a few of Walter's life events that have affected him to this day. So, Walter, you were involved in a pretty serious hit and run accident on September 10th, 2013.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I was hit September 10th, like you said. 2013, I was on a group ride with my buddy. It's really not a group ride, just riding with my friend, my best friend actually. He's downstairs working, and we were just south of town. We were coming back in. It was a pretty just normal ride, just like every other day, and boom, it's like lights out. I woke up a couple days later in the ICU, had no idea what had happened. I mean, my buddy was laying on the floor sleeping next to me, and it was probably 9 o'clock at night. I'd just woken up from anesthesia, actually, because I immediately went into surgery after I was life flighted. I was riding my bike, and this is obviously not from my recollection. This is from, accounts from my buddy and the driver who hit me, but he was texting, driving, young kids, didn't do it on purpose by any stretch of the imagination, and hit me going about 63 miles an hour. Hit me so hard that I actually launched off my bike, knocked my buddy off with my limp body, and my buddy was there. He got up, found me laying in the ditch, and all tore up, and called the ambulance. The kid ended up coming back. It's kind of hearsay whether or not it was a hit and run. They kind of determined that it was. The reason the kid ended up coming back was because my bike was actually stuck in the front of his truck. But yeah, it was a pretty eventful day.
All right. What was the most frustrating thing that you had to deal with after the accident?
The most frustrating thing for me after I was hit was probably the inactivity. I was pretty frustrated. I think like most guys, most people like to be pretty independent, and I'm a pretty active individual. And I'd pre-registered for a lot of races. And, in my mind, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to compete. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this, that. But just not being able to move, having to rely on, my mom flew in from Florida and was taking care of me, and our good friend's basement. And my now wife put up with a lot, my grumpiness, my anger. And it was just not being independent, not being able to walk, not being able to move. I wanted to run. I wanted to ride my bike. And, yeah, it was just terrible. Missing lots of school. It was kind of a pain in the butt.
If there was anything positive to come from that experience that you went through, what was it?
I don't know. It was, any near-death experience I feel like makes you appreciate life quite a bit more. So that was probably the first thing. I realized how lucky I was. But it kind of, ignited a flame. I thought I was competitive before, and I kind of realized I was kind of given a second chance. So I kind of started doing everything twice as hard, racing twice as hard, running twice as hard, and obviously his insurance covered a lot of it, but it was enough for me and my wife to put a down payment on a house, so that was a nice little perk. But that was pretty much the biggest thing was don't let yourself be paralyzed by fear. Don't let the bike wreck keep you from getting back on the bike. So I was kind of determined to do that pretty quickly.
So you now have a job with Garmin, and you work here in Lawrence at the Sunflower Outdoor and Bike Shop. How has your accident influenced you to be where you are today?
It influenced me a lot, for where I wanted to go from, where I thought I was going to go before. Kind of a funny story. When I was hit, I wasn't actually working here yet. I'd applied for the job. One of the managers had approached me, and I was actually an avid rock climber before I was a cyclist. I was kind of just getting into cycling when I was hit, and they called me 25 minutes or so after the accident to offer me my position here at Sunflower, which was kind of interesting. That was actually the funniest things that my mom recounts, is me freaking out about maybe not getting the job because I didn't answer my phone and didn't call them, and it had been 3 days, and I was like, there's no way they're going to hire me, and everyone assured me that they'd probably understand. But working at the bike shop, especially after that accident, it allowed me to kind of open up the door to racing and cycling in general. And I knew that I always wanted to, any athlete, any baseball player as a kid or track runner. They want to do something in that discipline, and obviously it's a little bit of a long shot because if you're not born with the, I guess, gift, it's kind of hard to. But I found a loophole working at Garmin. I work with the athletic department, and with my background in running and cycling, I help make beta software for new running, cycling devices, and hands-on experience with the newest technology in the running and cycling world, which is pretty cool.
Very cool. So you're back on track now and you're riding your bicycle again. What kind of success have you had since the accident, and what do you hope to accomplish in the near future?
Yeah, I guess as far as success, what's come from it, I feel like I've done a lot. I've done a lot of races, certainly. It's kind of weird, going from cycling to triathlon, but that's kind of where my transition went. Was I realized I was a pretty good runner, pretty good cyclist, and I was like, what, if I can come back from this on the bike, I should probably start running on the ground again. And I went out to U.S. Pro Championships. I ended up getting fourth in my age group. I came down back to Kansas right after that, about a month or so later, and competed in Ironman Lawrence, where I was the first Lawrencian. I lost across the line. I beat out 5 or 6 of the pro athletes, ended up finishing 11th place overall that day, won my age group, and then probably the biggest accomplishment is as soon as the accident happened, I went on a month and a half or so later. As soon as I got my stitches out, I started running on my trainer indoors, so I managed to maintain a little bit of fitness, but I went out and rode for the Sunflower State Games in cyclocross and got the state championship. It was very cool. But yeah, I think it's always been in the back of my mind is to do that race out in Hawaii, the Kona Ironman. It's a endurance race, probably the most popular endurance race in the world, and I've qualified for it a few times, but I'm kind of holding off for hopefully qualifying as a pro athlete, not as an amateur. So that's the goal one day. Hopefully in the next year or so. We'll see what happens.
Great story, Walter. Again, that's Walter Summers. I'm Lucas Guilfoyle. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it.